For Asgard, back again to vent on this issue. For the last 10 years, I've been working in daycare, childcare. And I guess you can say this love-hate relationship. I'm in it and I kind of leave. I'm in it again and leave and thinking, this time will be better. I can try this to make it better. But I guess it's just not for me. I like working with children, but the way daycare is set up, it's not for me. I'm not going to get into too much detail of what goes on, in daycare. But to me, daycare, for the, I guess, older children, for the school age children, daycare is like a prison. End of the day, it's a business, but just like prisons are a business, to me, daycares are like, it's like a business. It's like a prison. And I get it. There are a lot of rules. Like there's a lot of rules that, have to be followed. And I get it. It's a liability issue, safety issue, things like that. But some things it's just like, really? Why? It's like they're putting more stress on you to deliver these things. And it makes things a lot harder. I want, children to be able to make decisions, just like I was able to, make decisions and correct myself and understand my wrong and my rights and try to make it better. I try to do that, but it's like they don't want that. Like they don't want that. It's like you have to always be holding their hand, and it's like these issues are so minor. They're so minor. They're so juvenile. And growing up, I can say that growing up, I was a very intelligent child. Was able to make these decisions. So I can't relate to being, having these problems. I was able to adjust. I didn't grow up in daycare and all that, but I was able to adjust and to adapt and to make decisions and to realize, hey, I can't get everything. I can't have everything I want. It's not going to happen, and I understand that. But today, as in daycare, it's like you have to, I don't know. I guess it's my perspective, or maybe things are stacked up against me. You have to keep accommodating for every issue when they're so minor. Like it is. And I'm not used to this BS problems. Like things like you could easily solve on your own. Like it's like, what? Now I gotta hold their hand and say, you can't do this. You gotta do this. You gotta kind of make children play with each other. You gotta make them do art, make them do this, make them do that. And it's like, I don't want to be making anyone do anything. And I can't do that. I don't want that. And I wanted them to make their own decisions. And these are older school-age children. Same, I had a lot of freedom to do whatever. Obviously not whatever I wanted, but I was able to make decisions. Kept safe. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this, from my own perspective, and I just can't. I can't relate, and I can't relate to these problems because they're so juvenile. I had problems growing up. Either I dealt with it, moved on, whatever. Moved on. Someone's bothering you, someone's annoying you, don't like someone, I just walk away. So many other people you can play with. I don't have to play with this person, but today's you have to hold their hand and say, you have to play with this person. Why? If they don't want to play with you, so what? And then they call that bullying and whatever. It's like, what do you want me to do? Gotta hold their hand for everything, and I don't have the energy for that thing. But anyways, like, again, daycare, I haven't seen much videos on this, but it's like a prison. It's just not. This never has been fun, and I guess I'm to blame for this, 'cause I keep coming back. But I take some blame because I just keep coming back, because at the same time I miss it. I like it. I like some parts of it where I can do, what I want to do. And I'm not saying go jump off roofs or things, but I want to do things that are just not the norm. Because the norm is boring. Like, it's boring. I'm sorry, from the child's perspective. From my perspective, daycare is boring. Like, it's boring for the older children to play with these juvenile toys and activities that they're highly outdated. They're outdated. Outdated. Things that just aren't fun. They're not using them. And you have to like force them to use it. It's like, why can't I do things that are out of the norm? And every time I do it, it's like they don't want that. They don't want things being out of the norm. It's like Loki in the TVA, where that guy came off the timeline. The TVA put him right back on the timeline. That's how it is. I want to be on my own timeline. I want to be on my own track, doing something new, innovative. But guess what? They just keep putting you back where everyone is, and I don't want to be where everyone is. I don't want to be like anyone is. And even as a child, I always have this mindset of I don't want to be like everyone. Till today, it is the same mindset. I don't want to be like everyone. I've chosen who I am. I've chosen what I wanted to be. It's like I gotta, follow this boring mindset. I just find it so boring. The children are boring, but it's childcare in general. It's just so boring. I don't understand why I can't put my own spin on things. I just don't like it. And it's the micromanaging. Like, what the heck? God, it just makes me so frustrated. Like, why can't I do what I want to do in terms of making child daycare more fun, more, edgy? Again, you can do things that are just like normal for a week or so. The children might be interested. Well, that's not going to keep them engaged for the rest of the year. Again, some of them have been in the programs, in these programs since they were toddlers, babies. So they've seen everything. But here we are doing the same things over again, making Play-Doh, making slime, over again. The same things over and over and over again. I've seen this in the last 10 years. Why can't we have something new, something more innovative? And it's funny how a lot of these workshops or conventions or etc., you only hear of these so-called professionals speaking into regards of childcare. You don't hear what the children want to say or what they're thinking. These conferences, these schools, etc., you don't hear what the children want. It's only of what the so-called system wants. And when you're against the system like me, things are harder. It is harder. But I'm trying to make daycare awesome, enjoyable, cool, edgy, but the sort of the so-called rules and the system and the things that we have or I have to do, it's like, this is boring. I don't want to do this. I want to try something completely new. I don't want this. I want something different. I want something unorthodox. But it doesn't work. Like, I'm just not allowed to be unorthodox. I gotta be the same boring character, and I don't want that. And then when, again, when I have to, like, be put in a box, when I have to be put in a box, when I be put in a box, that's when I get bored. And right now, I am bored now. When I can't, again, do what I want to make things more fun for myself, also for the children, it's troublesome. Again, I don't want to get too much detail of this, because I know eventually maybe they're going to come upon this down the line. But again, but you never know. They might come upon this video. So it's like, I don't want to be too detailed of the things that I've seen, I've done. But yeah, childcare it's overrated, I think. I mean, all these kids, they end up becoming slaves anyways to the system. And I think that's what they want. They have molded people to teach children to be slaves to the system. They have molded people to be slaves to the system. Molded children to be slaves to the system when they get older. And I'm against the system. I am highly against the system. I'm not for it. And if you have ideas and you're doing things different and that's against the system, they're not gonna like you for it. There may be a couple that are able to revolutionize, their industry, whatever, that go off course of the system. But for the most part, if you decide to go against the so-called system and do your own thing, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. And, I keep finding out it in the hard way, but it's like I keep coming back to this so-called profession. And it's like, I love the children. Not all of them, but I love the children. But at the same time, it's like, I hate the job. I hate it. I hate it. I feel like I can't be who I am. Does that make sense? And for me, I'm like a mad scientist. I want to scatter things all over and put them together. And if so-and-so doesn't work, hey, let's try this thing. Let's try that. Let's try this. How is this going to work? Again, I'm not saying to treat children like guinea pigs. I'm not saying that. It's more so of the activities you implement. The way you can make the room or your program, I guess, awesome for the children. That's what I want. I wanted the room to run itself. I wanted the room to run itself, where the children can make decisions, judgments on their own. Obviously with some guidance and etc. But now it's like you gotta hold their hand. You gotta, put things in a tight box and all this. That's boring. I would hate it. Especially for me, who who was a smart child, I would not like this crowd. I'd be like, I don't want to be here. And again, a lot of children don't want to be in daycare. I'll say the older ones. Preschool, kinder, they can get away with it. But the older school-age children, they don't want to be in daycare. They hate it. They hate it. Seen it firsthand. They hate it. And there are instances where you have to make a 12-year-old do art. A 12-year-old do this, play with this. Like, I ain't gonna make no 12-year-old do nothing. Especially with the things, the equipment that they have. Especially those days. But especially with the things they have. Like, it's not happening. They hate daycare, and I know it. I would hate it too. And I try to create, to make it more enjoyable. Try to make it more enjoyable. But again, when you're against the system, when you are your own self, when you just don't care about the norm, if that makes sense, of society, you don't fall or you don't conform to society. You don't conform to society, that's when, the whole system goes against you. And it's just not fair at all. But it's the system. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to make you be just like everyone else. Be like everyone else. And again, they don't care if you have a vision or idea. They don't care. If it isn't coming from those in the system. I'm talking the elites, the upper level, those that you can't see. These billionaire psychologists, those guys are the ones that are implementing these so-called systems in childcare. They're the ones doing it. The governments are the ones doing it. Because they want. And they always, and the whole philosophy is like letting children play to learn, etc. But at the end of the day, it's about, they say give children choices, but it's not really like that. They want to, again, create a society of slaves. That's what they want. And I'm seeing it firsthand again. That's what they want. And I don't like to be put in a box. I don't like to put anyone in a box. I want people to be able to make their own choices. Obviously, if it's a bad choices, I'm going to call them out on it. Good choice, But daycare, again, it's just another tool that is being used to destroy society, basically. Just like with school, it's just another tool used to corrupt. And here I am, trying to do things differently. And they don't like it. They don't like that you're doing things differently. But again, overall, this whole venting is just a way to say that daycare does suck. It is boring. I think, even though I would never grew up in daycare as a child, it's boring for children. And I've seen it with the older children. It gets boring. They've seen everything already. They don't want to be there. They want to be out doing whatever. They want to do more intense stuff, but this is daycare, and it's garbage. As a educator, it's boring. I try to again make it edgy, but it's like you gotta be as boring as possible. Gotta hold a lot of hands, gotta make a lot of rules, gotta say no to almost everything. And even though you're not the one creating the rules, guess who they attack? They attack me for these rules that are always being changed. Really every day. It's like, it's frustrating. Again, I want to give choices, but within this system, it's like there is no choice. Whole philosophy is about giving choices, but there really is no choice. It is do it their way. So it's really it's not fair. It's really not fair. And I really do hate this. Hate it. I hate it. But I do plan on, I don't know when I'm going to post this video, but I'm done, man. I am done with this industry. It's not for me because, again, if I can't be that mad scientist, if I can't create an edgier program, what's the point? What is the point? I hate it though. But yeah, and another thing to kind of like, conclude with this is, again, a lot of these conferences and workshops, you don't hear, for what I've seen and heard, you don't hear what the children want. You don't hear the concerns from the children. You're going to only hear concerns and whatever from these so-called professors or psychologists or other educators, higher uppers, and they're going to talk about what they want. And I then have to do what they say when why can't I figure out things on my own? I don't know. That's just me. Like, you can have all these people, telling you do this, do that. Fine, sure, that works for you. That's fine and all, but let me try something on my own. If it fails, hey, I'll say it fails. And if I have no other option, I'll try your idea. But you can't do that. It is only their way or the highway. So, yeah. Yeah, I hate it. I really do hate it so much. Yeah, I don't know when this video is going to be up. It's one of those things, if I write daycare on the video, there's a high chance they may find it. You never know. Never know. If I write childcare, they may find it. So I don't know. But I just want people to know that daycare really does suck. It really sucks. But anyways, for Asgard.